Hello guys, it's Paula and I'm back today to show you how I covered the book that we took apart in the last video. Now, this binding fabric is not on yet, but I told you I might show you how to do it, but it was the first time I had ever done it. And it took me it took me over 2 hours to do it for the first time. I'm going to come up and let you see close up. Now, this is where I glued this down. I left my space here. This is each book side. And basically what I did was, the fabric you see here was out here to start with. Okay? And I just went in and cut the corners. Here you have a square piece of fabric, okay, around all four sides. I just went in and cut each corner, and that's why you see this slant on the seam. See right here? But what I would recommend to you, mine covered the corners, but I'm putting corner covers on this book anyway, but I would recommend to you to cut out a little further than I did. And you want to glue up in there when you go to fold it over, just so this corner will be glued down. And you just stretch it to make sure it's on there. Make sure you just stretch and stretch. And you want to make sure in here, inside your gaps, that you put glue inside there too when you're folding that over, because you want that to have an indentation so that when you bend your book, you'll have a nice area there. So I'm going to show you up close what I'm talking about. Now I just have a, just like a little stylus thing. See how I've got that in? You really have to work it in there. And it does, you've got to wait till you work it till it dries. And you push and you rub, and you can use a brayer. I used a brayer when I was putting down all of this. And I held corners down with my fingers till I felt like they were, dry. Now, I thought everybody's different, but I didn't like the brightness of this fabric. See how bright it is? I love the fabric. So I inked with Vintage Photo all the fabric. And, that's just how I like it. It looks more grungy. It looks more junk journal-like. But at the same time, it can look very nice. So, we're going to put, before we put this strip of the binding down, which I'll show you how to work those indentions, because we'll have to do it on this book. I have about a yard, I don't know, you just kind of have to guess, of ribbon, and I'm just going to match them here. This ribbon is brown with a little bit of yellow in it, and I'm going to fold it up on itself like this. And I'm going to make sure that this center ends up in the center of this book. And let me make sure which side is the right side and which one is the wrong side. Okay, perfect. Okay, so depending on where you want to tie off, I'm just going to do it right in the center. Right like that. Now, I would suggest going ahead and putting a little bit of glue here while you work. I'm going to sit down, and hopefully you guys can see okay. Let me make sure my phone doesn't want to tilt up very well today, so we'll have to watch it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I've got Fabrifix, and I'm going to just glue a little bit of glue right there for now. Okay, to hold it down while I figure out the rest. Now, I have seen a video before that talks about how you want to of course, my fingers are wanting to pull it back up. How you want to, excuse me, I got to get a wipey here. How you want to go ahead and just glue it straight across. And we're going to. I just wanted to make sure. The girl I watched said that you need to have some slack. Just a little bit of slack on this ribbon. I've had other people not say that. So I'm going to let you decide how you do it. But I'm going to do a little bit of slack so that when the book moves back and forth, it will have a place to go. Now, I'm just dropping everything today. I'm going to go ahead and pull it back, but I'm going to leave a little gap without any glue right here. And I'm just going to glue across my book. Am I looking to see if it's measured? No. Because we're going to put paper and so forth over this, and the main thing is that it's attached, and kind of pushing it this way so it will give it a little bit of leeway in here. I don't know if that means anything. It doesn't make sense to me, but I'm sorry you're hearing my computer every time I get an email. I just kind of leave it open in case I, have to answer some comments or whatever, and I try to be real good about that. And I'm interested in what you guys have to say. And there we go. Does that look straight? If it's not, you're probably screaming at me, as Gail says, telling me, straighten that. This is going to be a October, November type album. I'm not titling it October, November. I'm just titling it Autumn Splendor. I just thought that was pretty and would work. So the next thing we're going to do is put down, and I did get my ink on this one a little bit dark, but you know what? I'm wiping some off. It's not going to, it's not really going to show. Now, if you wanted to, and if it bugs you, you could fold that under, or you could put ribbon along here. But again, it's going to be showing. It's not going to be showing, I mean. And, yeah. So I've got, the perfectionist in me wants to fold that over. But I'm afraid it'll make it too thick in those gaps that are very important. So we're not going to do that. And I shortened it in as much as I could. But do make sure that from this end to this end you have the same space. Just eyeball it. Okay. I think we're good right there. So I'm just going to flip it over. And what you want to do, this is the process that I went through doing all of this book. You put the glue on, you take your finger, you rub it in. It's messy, but I like to make sure it covers all your spaces. Now we're going to put glue up here too, because this is going to cover that. So we'll just start up here. And I'm filling in those little gaps. Now they don't have to be a pool. You don't have to fill them in all, like crazy. And you want to go up on the book part of it right here and fill in your gaps. And I'm going to go ahead and go across this ribbon too, since we're right here and on the other side of it. You can really just cover it all if you want. I think that's what I'm going to do, because it doesn't dry so fast you can't do this small section. Put it in your gaps on top of the fabric and up on the little bit ledge of the book. We'll go back and add more under the fabric once we get this portion down. All right, now here we go. Just going to lay it over. Make sure it's the same height at the top as it is at the bottom. I just think it's pretty close. That's all that matters. and you want to start pushing in the middle. Now, the reason that I don't glue the outsides down, or the edges down on the right and left side, is because I want to work down in this little gap. I have this little thing that you make flowers with, but it has a ball on the end, and so I like to use it. And you could use a popsicle stick, you could use anything, you know, with some kind of tip that won't cut your fabric. And so you have to really pay attention. You're going to have glue that will ooze out probably. And you can use your fingernail. See, I'm using my fingernail. Now there's where that ribbon is. So we really want to make sure that that goes down in the groove. Okay. Once we get down in the groove and the center of the binding, or the spine down, we can move on and add the other. Because then we're going to want to bend up. We're going to want to bend up the book and work the glue up on the side to help form that nice fold. See, we're going to do like this, and we're going to want to work the sides in. So we're going to do that real fast. We're going to do that. Okay? We'll do this one side at a time. And I'm just going to put it on the fabric itself. And underneath a little bit up in the corner. Because you want it to... And the reason I'm doing one at a time is because then you have time to work this side. And when you're finished with this side, you can work the other side. This portion seems a little intimidating, but it really is just fine. And like, you know, you're going to have glue seep out. You know, my thing is glue is going to seep out. Sometimes it's going to bleed. It's just how it is. It's homemade. It's a, you know, you just clean it up the best you can. I go a little crazy cleaning it up because it drives me nuts. But putting that in there. And every now and then you want to, it's stopping me where I'm doing the ribbon because it don't like that it can't just flow nice there. But I've never done a book with a ribbon closure like this. And I've never covered a whole book like this. So that makes it fun. This is different for me. I would recommend that you line your fabric. If it's see-through fabric or you know, something like that, because it does want to sometimes bleed. Now see how I'm lifting this up, and you can see there's a gap here and here. I want to make sure I put glue under there to hold that down, because that's going to be in that little crease, and we don't want it to not hold. That's the most important thing. And every once in a while you can get an air pocket. Just work it out. And sometimes you've left it to dry and you come back and you have an air pocket. That's not fun when that happens. But you just work it out the best you can. And decide after you see it if it, you know, is something you want to keep, or I never throw anything away. I figure out something for it. I can use it to plan in or do anything in. And I just keep working it. Okay, so this side needs more glue too. See where we put the fabric over here. And I'm just pretty much doing that just to hold it down so that when we put our paper on there, it will stay down. You can, if you don't want paper on the inside of your book, you can put, like when you do this fabric, you could do it across the whole thing. I personally don't like that look, but it's to each their own. And I've seen people actually use paper on their books. I've seen them do like a, you know, like paper they use in the stores to wrap your items at Hobby Lobby or so forth. And I am going to try it one time at some point, because I want to try everything at some point. I just don't want to do it until I'm ready. I'm also going to try using canvas, you know, because I think that would be fun. It's heavier, and I understand you can use canvas in your on your binding to make it stronger. So that's nice. Okay, I'm going to flip this and see if it's loose on either side. I think this side I got down better. I did. So this fabric over here is down. I don't remember putting it down, but I guess I did already. Okay, so we can flip it back. This one's still kind of sticking up. Let's add a little bit more. Just a little bit, just to hold it down so it's not folding back when we're putting our paper on. Okay. And you could see why your ribbon's not going to go anywhere. It's down. Let me wipe off this glue top. I'm going to close it for 1 second while we're doing the next part. Okay, let me get some of this off my finger so I can even hold the book. I'm going to work on these little gaps and make sure everything is down really good. This is a little time consuming, and that's another reason it took me longer yesterday, because I did have, you know, it was the first time I made it, and I'm just afraid we'd have to end up with like 2 or 3 videos. But now, if somebody wants to see this procedure done, or this process done, not procedure, you can tell I worked in a doctor's office for 30 years. Whenever you do this project, I know Gail just covered a Christmas album the same way I did this, except she didn't do the ribbon. But she did real similar, like she covered the outside, and you know, she's been doing it lots longer than I have, and so she obviously has tried a lot of different albums. Okay, I hope I don't have my big head in the camera. You just want to make sure, see, like I can still feel glue under there, and I want to push it so I don't get any air pockets. It's kind of like the glue just kind of moves around. Why it does that, I don't know, but I'm going to get my brayer, see if I can't get it to push out a little bit. Now, because I want it to go into those creases. And if you're not super strong, the brayer really does help. And now let's see what we can do. I'm gonna run our little stylus. I think that's what this is called. Not sure, honestly. I don't know if you know who Heartfelt Creations is, but they're a company that make cards and scrapbook pages and stuff like that, and they sell these. I use them to they sell them for you make flowers that are dimensional. And so they're fun. But anyway, that's what this is I'm using. They have multiple sizes too. I also score with my small one. Okay, so I'm folding it up because I want to know that everything is down inside and nothing's puckering. Now I'm going to fold it up and I'm going to work right up against this and run my fingernail down through there as I'm pushing down on the left side of the book. Run my finger down there. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the same side on this binding, and as I come back I will put my finger down there. Now you're going to push on the spine. That side's feeling pretty good. Now we're going to do this side. Going to put here. Actually, I'm going to do it like this. I hope you guys can see. And push here, and you want to make sure that everything's gluing down inside that spine gap. And then you bring your fingernail in there, come back. Okay? Now, raise it up. We're going to do it on the spine portion. I'm going to push and make sure all of this is down really good. And then come back with your fingernail. Yeah, that brayer helps smooth out those lumps that I was seeing. Looks like we've got a book with the binding all done. And I know what I was going to do too. You can make a crease on the outside too. I'm going to see what it looks like if I do. I've never done it. I saw it on a video the other day on one of Tracy Fox's videos where she likes the crease on the outside. Now, I've never done it, so I don't really know what I'm doing, but I thought I'd try it and see. Hope you guys can see that because you have to kind of hold it certain ways. So really what you're doing is you're attacking that gap from both sides. And in this one, you're just doing with your fingernails. Now, you do again have to really rub it back and forth to make sure that it's attaching. So see, you can see the difference. Now, whether it stays like that or not, we'll see. I guess that's how real books are done. I really like the smooth, just over the edge thing, but I thought we'd try it. See, like this one's more smooth. You could see where I worked on these edges here when I did just this end part. Yeah. Making these albums is all about having 10 hands. I feel like I need 10 hands. And I know that you guys have felt the same way at some point. I like to, when colors are way too bright, unless it's a little golden book, I have to calm them down. So I usually ink them. I told you that earlier. But, yeah. And I just like the look of it. And I'll ink the paper as well. Gotta mess with the glue. You know how that is. It has to seep through sometimes. And I did not iron this fabric. The reason I don't iron my fabric, I did in the beginning. If I have to line it, I do. Is because I like that maybe a wrinkle here or there look. And so that's the reason I don't. Okay, I think We're almost ready to glue the paper in. Yeah, this I did get this a little darker, but I didn't ink this here. That might be why it looks so much darker. Okay. Now, normally I would set this, oh, this little piece right here is not attached. It's being a culprit. It's just going to cause issues. There. We'll just glue that down. Normally I'd set this aside and let it dry and then decide on whether, you know, what I'm going to put, what paper I'm going to put in here or whatever. But because this is a fall book, I'm going to decorate the front. But first, we're going to put in the paper. I've already measured and cut this. You will measure it according to the book that you're going to use. So I'm going to hold it up so you can see it. It's little acorns with a creamy background and brown, little blotches of colors that are in the sunflowers. Now, I am making a leaf album as well, so let's see. This is going to, you want to make sure to even it around your whole book. You know, just show like 1/8 of an inch. Just an even amount under the, around it. On both sides. Make sure your pattern is the same direction. Okay. Now, I don't know why I took so much pickiness doing that. I've just got to glue it down now. I always make sure to get it in the corners and on the edges as best you can. Not to the point that it runs over too much, but because that's what you want to stay down. And, you know, you don't want it coming up on the sides. Now, and also, just remember that you're going to want this to hold down your ribbon tie. You know, because if somebody grabbed it by just the string, they could tear this paper if they were. That's why journals need to be handled with love. You know, they are homemade, although I really try to construct them well. And everybody does things a little different. Okay. Now, I just want to make sure it's down well for that. Whoops. That was upside down. Okay. So, you are going to even this around. Pull this forward a little bit so I can make sure. I hope I'm not in the video because I have not even combed my hair today. I got up and got busy. And you know, try to get anything that's leaked out from around the book portion. And really press and hold for a second where that ribbon is. Because you want that to, because see what can happen is if someone, your kids or your dog or your husband grabs this string and jerks it too much, it could rip this page. Although we glued it really well, it should not go anywhere, but it could still tear your little the top of your little book area if they weren't careful. Oh, there's some glue. Great. I just love that you can always count on some glue. And the thing is it gets on your book. I'll get it off. If you leave it very long, it just kind of stays and stays. But I'd rather have a little bit of glue here and there than for it to come up. I don't know of any glue that you can buy that doesn't bleed through that bad. But this one is the closest. It still bleeds through fabric sometimes. Just kind of like taking a chance. Try to wipe this off the book without getting my paper wet. Might have to re-ink it after I do it. It's like it really, really likes fabric. And you know how it balls up. There we go. But this is just one of the things you run into when you're making a book. I mean, you have to deal with the glue. I remember when I first started, if I had glue seep through, I'd just throw it in the trash. I didn't understand because I was hearing on the videos that it never happens. And then you hear, make sure you put plenty of glue. So you're kind of confused as to what you're really supposed to do. But, so I'll just take and ink that right there and not worry about it, because all books are glued and it'll be fine. I'll give it a once over when it's completely done. I got a little bit of glue right seeping on my paper right there. Sorry guys, this is just part of it. Okay, now you want to push your corners down. Make sure they're staying down. Rub around each side of the paper. I get my brayer and I just make sure that it's attaching everywhere, even over the ribbon. Okay. All right. I like that this looks all smudged. It gives it that junk journal smudge look. And we're going to do the left side now. And I'm sure we'll have some seep out here too. When I do my book cover and spine, I do rub this out and make it flat so there's no lumps. But on paper it's different. You know, you don't have to worry about that as much unless you're putting paper on your spine and your book. You know, make sure your image is correct direction. Okay, line it up. I usually just line it up with the bottom, and then I can tell that I'm kind of in the right spot because they're both cut the same size. Let me hold that up. Perfect. Hope you guys are having a good day. I decided to break my Christmas albums up with you know, a few fall ones since it's coming first. But I'm so slow. Like it took me almost 2 weeks to make 2 of those Christmas albums. And that was working almost every day in here, you know. And so at least part of the day, if not all of the day and evening. I have a fabulous husband who helps me put the videos on YouTube, so I don't have to deal with that right now. I do want to learn how to do it. I just have been super busy. I want to get books made, so you guys that don't know how to make books or don't want to make books have some choices. All right. Here's how she looks. And so you can see when I bend it up, still see a little bit of glue under there that just doesn't want to flatten out, and you really want it to, so I'll have to work on that a little bit. And sometimes you feel like, I mean, the people I watch videos for don't even worry about it. They just, you know, because they're doing them so quickly. But it bugs me if there's like a big bump. And usually I let it dry standing like this, or I'll do it like prop it somewhere and do it like this. Now, those little seams we pushed in are staying, so that's good. I'm sure they're not as perfect as they're supposed to be, but I feel like they'll get better with time. Let's see if this side's staying too. Not quite as much as the other one, but it is staying. I think it's just like the inside. You have to keep running your nail through there. Okay, so I thought today we would decorate the front of the cover. Now, I am going to decorate the cover. I've already inked everything. Because I know I hate to have to sit and watch people ink. Now, I know every now and then it's necessary. But I am going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers, including the image. Okay? This is a sunflower outside, but it really is an autumn book. And so everything's inked. So what I think I'm going to do is start gluing from the top down and get all the pieces together before we glue the last piece together. So just going to glue the image onto the red check. I liked the contrast of the red check. That's the reason it made it into the stack. You know, even though this is it's got like a tint of red in the flowers, the centers of the flowers. And I just cut that out where, you know, it had a whole row of checks around it so that it would make it really easy to get a good measurement and have it look framed out. This is an old graphic 49. I bet a lot of you recognize it. I shot my stash again. Listen, I have so much fall and Christmas stuff. Halloween. When you have 5 grandkids, you collect it. Okay, so I got to look and see how I have these stacked so I'll know how to put this on. I'm going to put it up on the top portion because I'm going to put this here, and I am going to overlap just a little bit on my picture because I tried putting it down here and it just doesn't look good. and I didn't like it on the top. So that's what I decided on, which is to bring this up. And so now we're going to glue these two onto the muslin. Okay, I'm just going to put the glue on the back of this. Now, when I glue onto muslin, I don't worry about it being like, you know, perfect, because I like the muslin to kind of flip up when I glue the muslin portion down. Now the picture or the cardstock I want to be down. I'll kind of turn this to the side so I can see how far over I need it. And I really liked that this had a big edge on it. The muslin had a big edge on it. Now, after we glue this onto the next piece of cardstock, under that is felt, and then under that is burlap. I wanted all these different textures because I like it making the book look lots nicer than it could have. Okay, oh, just got some on the mat. Let me get that up real quick. Glue, glue, glue. Everywhere glue. Dry this. Okay, so this is how this portion looks. And some of you may be out there saying, stop, that's enough. But, you know, again, I had that scrapbooker in me, and I like to layer. I like to paper piece. I like to layer. I love designing anything new. So, I'm going to flip this over, and I am not going to get up to the edges. I'm actually just going to glue under the mat and the image. I'm trying to think if I want to do it here. Maybe just a little right there, because I want to be able to get my little metal plate on without any issues. Okay, and if you're off a little bit, don't worry about it. It's not a biggie. See, even paper with Fabri-Tac, it will ooze through paper. That's why I use this ugly mat all the time instead of my nicer mat. If I'm just cutting, I don't worry about it. Now, this is the point where I want to put this on, and I'll tell you why. The next layer is felt and then burlap. So I thought our little brads, if we open them up under this cardstock, they'll have a little bit of they'll have an area to press down into with the felt. And that's just my logic with it. That doesn't mean it's necessarily correct. But let me hold this up and see if it looks straight. And I've got my little sharp tool. This is the big test right here on whether or not I'm fixing to put a hole in my, let me get my mat to put underneath it. I have one that I take scrapbooking with me because of this very reason. If I don't, you can see it's been stabbed at pretty good. If I don't, I'll scratch a table or put a hole in one of my good mats. Okay. I don't think I moved it, but let me look, because we don't want to get it on there and it all be crooked. Nope, it looks all right. It's going to be close enough. Okay. So this is just a foam mat. You can use like a mouse pad. Am I in camera? Let me move up. Sorry, guys. Sometimes you get involved and forget that you're recording. Trying to get in the center. Okay, now we're going to put our brads in there. And the nice thing about doing your brads on this kind of foam is it will stick down into the foam, so you don't have to worry about it falling out on you. So we're going to lift the whole image and matting up. And see, these should go in. Hang on to your metal plate just in case. And I'm going to flip it over, knowing that it's in the right place, and open up your brads. These are very flexible brads, which is nice. These are not Tim Holtz. These are spare parts at Hobby Lobby, and they have them 50% off real often. They also have the hinge post. So I buy both, you know, whatever mood strikes me. Or whatever I'm needing them for, you know. They also do corner covers. So here's how that looks. Turn it this way so you can see. Okay, move my mat out of the way. Now the next two things that we're going to glue on, well, the next one is going to be the felt. And you might think, why is she putting felt on there? Well, it gives it height, but it also it's another texture. And I liked just that little bit of green to pull the green out here. And whether we can notice it or not, there is a little bit of red in around this shading. And that's why I did the red. And the brown, of course, is because there is brown in the center. And then I did the burlap because it's just a fall thing. And, you know, I love burlap on stuff. So, let's always put it on the back of your picture. I'm going to put quite a bit of glue here across these brads. Then I'm going to come on here and I'm going to really try not to let it leak this time because it's onto that felt. And I don't know how well it will work with the oozing out on the felt. But just smaller layers around the outside, so we don't have a lot of oozing. All right. Can't believe I got that right on. Especially when I can't get over the top of it. Makes it a little harder. But I don't know if you realize what I was saying about how the foam, the brads pushed up a little whenever I put it on there. So what I do is I just push them down while it's drying. And if you don't want to set and hold it, you can take out I'm looking for my little hammer. Your little hammer, which will flatten them underneath even more. I flattened them pretty good, but I want them to dry flat. I don't want them to push out. They're not arguing, so I guess it's okay. All right, now we're going to do our burlap. And then we're going to attach it to the book. Now the felt you do want to do pretty well on because it's going to absorb the glue compared to the papers. And every layer we put on here makes it get a little heavier too. So you want to consider that when you're putting your glue on, because it will be heavier. You want it to stay on that book forever and ever, or as long as possible. Okay. You're going to center this like you have on everything else. Well, I put it upside down. I'm glad that didn't make a difference. It's so easy to do that sort of thing, guys. Have to really pay attention, but I've done it many times. I've had to tear stuff up and start over before. It's been a long time, but I do it. You get so aggravated at yourself, you just have to stop and redo something. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. What do you think? Okay, so now we're going to adhere it to our book. I am going to put it pretty heavy on here. I do like a circle in the corner, then I take it kind of straight out, see? And then I put a heavy amount. You know, I try not to get right on the edge, but in the corners I like to get the very little corner because that's where it's going to all, that's where it starts lifting up. I'm getting it all over me also. Let me wipe that off so I don't get it on the front. I think I wear more glue than the project most of the time. Okay. This glue does set up pretty fast, so you can't really piddle around when you're trying to get it ready to glue down. You don't want to piddle around, I'll put it that way. Okay, so we're going to put this, let's see, I'm going to stand up because we don't want it to be crooked. It looks pretty straight. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I like the front of this. It looks very fall. And it's trying to ooze out. Just make sure you don't get glue on your image. I shouldn't have said that. I'll probably have glue on it in 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to set back down. All right, let's move our hammer. All right. Now you just want, oh, and see, it's real easy to move it, so it's still wet. And you've got, you know, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers. So, you know, they're all trying to get to that drying point. But my thing is, I just got to catch all this oozing glue, and it's not as easy on a book as it is on a piece of paper. Piece of paper, you can just rub it off. On a book, you have to get your fingernails out. But that's the nice thing about when I ink them too, you know, it covers any of that up. There you go. Okay. Not anything there. Looks like we're in good shape. So I'm going to show you real quick. Of course, it's still wet. And I'm going to show you real quick the inside. And I'll tell you, I usually cover these little seams. So we don't know what will happen till it gets to that point. If it bugs me, I cover it. And, you know, I don't like it if it bugs me. And I'll be pushing on that more, I'm sure. So then you fold it shut. That little bit of glue that just... You're going to have glue. We just, you know, what can I say? But I will keep working at this one little corner till I get it all off there. Okay, so then you take your tie, which is really color coordinated well. I had one piece of this. I think I used this, if I remember right, I used this same lace on Gail's bunny album that I made her. And then you just tie it on the side here, and you're gonna, this is like already my favorite way to do it, is tying on the side in a bow. And then, of course, I didn't tie the most beautiful bow, but you get what I'm talking about. And there you go. I hope you guys had fun today. I hope you learned something new. And next time we get together, I'll probably still be working on this, and I'll probably do paper prep and decide what papers and so forth I want to put in it. And yeah, so we're working on Autumn Splendor and sunflowers, and it's going to be, you know, fall leaves and so forth as well. So it's an October, November type album, or junk journal. Because I was a scrapbooker, I want to say album, so I apologize. So yes, it's going to be a fall junk journal. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video and would give me a thumbs up. If you're not a new subscriber, please subscribe. And if you are new, thank you. I'm glad you've come to watch videos with us. It's my favorite thing to do when I have free time. And I think we all have a lot to learn from each other. And I appreciate you all so much. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.